got up to the allotment this morning. One of our chickens has been broody for a while. I mean, we have quite a lot of, I say problems with broody chickens, it's not problems, but they're never gonna hatch any eggs because we don't have any cockerels around. But Fleur had been what we thought, she was a bit broody and she was not coming out of the house as regularly, but I think they're all pretty depressed from being locked in all this time. But anyway, when we got up here this morning, Fleur is no longer with us. The cat's still with us though. Don't use it as a scratching post, please. Yeah, Fleur's a really gorgeous... Oi! What are you doing? I mean, our chickens are not pets. Not in the same sense that... What are you doing, madam? Yeah, sorry, that's what's going on behind the camera. Yeah, our chickens are not pets, not in the same sense as, say, a cat or a dog who lives at home with you would be, but yeah, we're super attached to them actually. And Fleur was a really she's a really lovely little chicken. She was the smartest of them all by far, and we're really upset. There's not really much else I can say about it really. We're going to we've had 3 previous chickens. We've been keeping chickens for quite a long time, and 3 previous ones are buried where... You're shaking because the cat's scratching her ear. There we go. Frida, Vivian and Tracy have all gone previously, and they are all buried where I've now got the polytunnel. Obviously we can't bury Fleur in the polytunnel area because there's a polytunnel there now. But we're going to bury her around the side of the pond where I'm putting the wildflower mixes this year. You are such a tart. Yeah, so normally if, you know, somebody goes, you know, try and find a plant with their name or something to plant on top of her. But that's a bit broad with a name like Fleur. So yeah, we're just going to put her under where we're putting the wildflower meadow this year. So yeah, not... So we are down to 3 chickens. We hadn't actually had Fleur all that long. We got the black and white chicken, so that's Sappho and Delphi first, and then at that time we had the Trace, who was our massive red chicken. We'd had her for years, and she was quite elderly, and when she died we decided we were going to get a couple more bantams because bantams are so much less destructive. So we got Lure and Fleur. So yeah, well. Morning. A little bit of a brighter day today. Yeah, so I'm going to be just doing a bit of pottering this morning actually. I just thought I quite fancied being up here for a while. I've got the bloody cat again. Yeah, so after we had that real cold spell, I'm amazed by how much stuff has really bounced back. The broad beans in particular, you know how bad they looked. I mean, to be honest, like broad beans, I've said it before, like they're really melodramatic and they do look terrible when there's a cold spell, but I've never seen them look that bad. And that, ow! Princess Pie. Ah! Sorry, I've got the claws in the thighs. Yeah, I've never seen them look that bad, and actually they have kind of sprung back. They've got quite a lot of damage. I'm just going to leave them. Yeah, the tops have all kind of started growing again and they look fine. What they do need is a bit of help for standing up, so I'm going to restake them all and stand them all up straight and see what's what really. But I'm amazed how well they've come back. So that's my first job. The other thing I've got to do is on that bed where I've got the masses of tulips in the dahlia bed, they're all starting to come up, and I've had so I planted the tulips and then I put netting and then mesh over the top to stop squirrels digging them up and such like, but they're all starting to come up. So she's you being a pest? Are you being a pest? Yeah, so I've got to take the netting off because they're all starting to come up now. Yeah, so despite how sad things were yesterday, and they were really quite sad, we're going to cuddle Lua and Sappho and Delphi. Well, maybe not Delphi. Delphi don't cuddle. We're going to give them a big old cuddle today. Our mum's just cleaning out their house, giving them all the freshness. Something I was really worried about coming up here, like I said yesterday, was she's got this fear of, you know, burying Fleur and then like coming back and finding somebody had dug her up. I remember when I was a kid, my friends moved into like 4 or 5 doors down from me, and when they moved in there was this really old like 70s rockery with a big old pond. I mean, it was massive, to be honest. Then again, I was a kid, so it probably isn't as big as it is in my head, but it was huge, and there were these koi carp in that pond that were like, okay, so remember, this is me being a child. They were like this big, these koi carp, massive things. And when they moved in, they had this dog called Burlington Bly, and he, oh, it was awful. He fished one of these fish out of the pond, and anyway, so we were all devastated and we buried it, had a funeral, you know, did the whole shebang, and then the next morning he'd dug the bloody fish up. Oh, it was awful. And this fish was like a recurring nightmare. It just kept coming back. Just like everything they did, in the end, Fi, who was their mum, had to actually like package the fish up and drive it away from the house. My God. Yes, I've got this like horrible, I thought that maybe we'd come back and there'd be just a hole where Fleur was, you know, so, but no, she's fine. The comfrey has still weighed it down, so we'll just let the ground settle and then we can plant some flowers for her. Actually, there's loads to do now I'm up here. I was thinking, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do today, but there's always loads to do. But also, things are sort of, because it's got so much warmer, there's quite a lot I could do maybe in the greenhouse. So I'm just going to potter around and do some jobs, really. Yeah, so you can see here, like the leaves, these are the bits that got, I mean, they are not recovering. But they're all coming good at the tops. I mean, despite the bits of black, I mean, these leaves are still okay, a bit tatty, and then we've got all this new growth at the top and it's looking really quite good. And then these are the bits that I've got to pin up that have kind of just collapsed off the side. There's loads of new growth coming from the bottom and I'm just going to leave them. So yeah, and look at this, what is going on? I don't think there's anything even around to pollinate them at the moment. I haven't seen anything flying around, and there's more coming on here. So these are the younger ones. When I planted those ones which are now flowering, I realised that they were probably too tall to like weather the storms of winter. So I planted these as my backup, but actually I've just ended up with twice the number of beans, so not a problem.
So although both of these were overwintered broad beans, I don't think I'm going to do any spring sown ones because obviously I planted the tall ones when they were massive and then thought better of it, planted some more, got them in. They've both been in here over winter, but I think I'm going to get my staggered pickings from them anyway, so I'll see how they go. But at the moment, I'm thinking I'm not going to do spring sown. Yes, it's really nice to see the new life appearing in this bed. I mean, I've planted so many tulips in here. If they all come up, it's going to be something else. It really is. Yeah, so I'm just going to take the netting off and hope the squirrels find something else to eat. While we're on the subject of spring bulbs, let's have a look because they're all starting to come up, which is incredibly exciting. Let's start under the fig. We've got a mix of all sorts of bits in here, but you can see we've got some little tete-a-tetes, the daffs in there, and then we've got some hyacinth coming through. There's loads of them under there, and just general daffs really. We've got some thalia in there, the white one too, that's a bit later. Under the apricot tree, another mix of daffs and hyacinth. And look at the apricot tree, it's coming. Under the pear, we've got more daffs. And then underneath the cherry, we've got daffs and auricula, and also some Californian poppies coming up. So we've got so many hyacinths because when I was working in the garden centre, any that didn't sell, I just brought home and bung them in the ground, and they've just kind of like naturalised. They look fantastic. Sorry about the slightly awkward angle, my gimbal's run out of battery. Thwarted by technology. But so I'm in the Polytunnel
and I haven't been in here to do anything properly for ages, and it's so nice. So let me show you. I'm pretty impressed with how stuff has survived in that really, really cold weather. We have lost some stuff, as I've said repeatedly, that it's really quite humid in here, and some of the things have really struggled, but because this is our first winter growing in here, we're kind of learning what does and doesn't grow. So lettuces and stuff grow brilliantly in the greenhouse, which is a much drier, warmer place. And in here, most of the lettuces that I planted out rotted off quite early on, but stuff that has done really well in here are things like the chard and just the tougher stuff, really. But let me show you what we've got going on in here now anyway. Okay, so we have got chard on this side, and then this really stunning lettuce that, I mean, I don't know what variety it is. It's just magnificent. It's the only one anyway. It's beautiful. This is the parsley that I transplanted, 3 weeks ago or so, and it's starting, like, there's new growth, so that's taken quite well. And this is dragon's tongue mustard, but it's a weird colour. The lamb's lettuce has taken fantastically. That's all looking really good. So that's the stuff that I transferred from Caroline. And then these are the ones that we sowed in here directly. They're coming up okay, looking quite healthy. I've also got the American spinach here, which is like just starting to produce new leaf now. And then the rainbow chard, looking beautiful. And in front of that, we have got some radicchio, just starting to heart up. Look at this. 2 little blooming green fly on there. Okay, and I'm going to be planting these out. These are some Pak Choi that we planted in autumn, and they've been sitting in the greenhouse, but they're looking pretty tough now and they're ready to go in here. And I'm quite happy to plant these in here because they will be eaten and done with by early May, when I'm expecting to be starting to get tomatoes and stuff in here. So yes, I'm going to plant this, and then I'm going to pick some of the Lucilla's chard, which is on this side of the door, and we're going to have that for lunch. Right, nice. That's me for the day. So I will see you tomorrow. is a beautiful morning, and I'm pretty excited because this morning I'm not actually up here to do any allotment work. I've come up here to edit the video, which is my new thing, and I'll talk to you about it in 1 second. So I'm just going to put the kettle on and we'll be good to go. Okay, so this is something I really wanted to be able to do this year. I tried last year, but it just didn't work out that way. But I really want to be able to use this shed for more than just like nipping in here for a cup of tea, because it's actually a really big space, and I've got a desk and I've just got a new chair, which, yeah, I'll show you. So I've been looking for a stool for ages, just, you know, a cheapy one. I didn't need anything big, but you always see like, what are they called, bar stools or whatever. You always see them in the street being thrown away, whatever, until you're actually looking for one. And then I've spent like a whole year not seeing a single one going. So anyway, I bought this one. It was only like £15, so no great expense. But I'm going to be trying to use the shed. Hang on, my kettle's boiling. Yeah, so I'm trying to, it's something I've realised trying to do kind of working from home in my like proper job, is that it's pretty tricky. And I'm hoping that I can kind of separate out my different ways of doing stuff by being able to just come up here and do some work on my kind of plot 37 stuff, because I've got, I've changed my mobile phone plan so that I can now use like unlimited internet, because we've got really good signal up here at the allotment, but that you can't just use your whole thing. So I've got my iPad up here and everything, and I can just run everything off my phone, which is pretty handy. So I'm kind of making this into a bit of an office, which is quite exciting. I do have an office at home, but up until this like working from home malarkey, it's been an art studio rather than an office, and the two things are kind of getting in each other's way. And it's really nice to be able to come up here and just sit, and I've got a beautiful view out the window in front of me, and I can hang around with the chickens. I mean, obviously it's not so good at the moment because the poor girls are stuck inside, and that's something that made me really sad. I mean, I was pretty cut up about Fleur anyway, but yeah, when I was looking for a piece of footage to put as like the little bit of memory of Fleur in the video this week, like it's all of her like running around outside, all the chickens like running around outside and just having a really great time. And it's so sad that she didn't get that again just as like spring's hitting, because I mean the lockdown's going to be over for them at some point, isn't it? So yeah, she didn't get to do that anymore. Yeah, anyway, so talking of working from home, Boris made his announcement yesterday, didn't he? So yeah, I forgot to say it is actually Tuesday morning this morning, which is the day the vlog's going out, and I'm still recording and I haven't edited it yet, but you know, I like to work to a deadline. I love it when you look at like, I don't know if any of you that make YouTube videos or do any of that kind of stuff, and you like are like looking for things that are like, oh god, I'm really like unproductive, uselessness, like what can I do? And you look online and there's all these people who are like really great YouTubers or whatever, and they like make their videos weeks in advance, so it's all like mapped out and laid out for them, and they've got all these like content calendar plans and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, god, I just wing it every week. And that's really tricky because if you're doing, I don't know, if you're doing YouTube, I don't know, about Photoshop editing or something like that. Like, it's not seasonal. It wouldn't matter if you were recording about shading in October and you were going to release it in April, because that's all very well and good. But when you're doing a garden, like, so much changes week to week. You can't really do that. I can't be recording stuff for like next month now, because it's not next month. So it's all a bit kind of like fly by the seat of your pants, really, isn't it? Anyway, what a tangent. What I was trying to say was, Boris made an announcement yesterday that we are going back to school on the 8th. So I knew that it was coming the 8th, but I thought it might have just been for kind of primary school, secondary school students, but it's not. It's universities as well. So I will be back actually physically at work in 2 weeks' time, which I can't tell you how pleased I am about that. It's like just relief. Found this second lockdown way harder than the first. I suppose that's also because of it's been winter, whereas the first lockdown we just came into it at the end of March, and it was go 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 at the allotment, and I started the vlogs, and it was all kind of action stations. And also I wasn't trying to do my job online, I was just sacked. Like, I didn't have a job, so okay, so money wasn't fantastic, but in fact it was pretty dire. But in terms of like trying to justify your existence all the time, I didn't have that, which in this last lockdown I've really found quite difficult. Anyway, I'm sorry, that was a huge rant about like nothing that was relevant at all. What I was trying to say was, this is my current office for the day, and I'm hoping to use the shed more that way for the whole year, really, because this is a absolutely joyous place to be, and I can't think of anywhere better to do computer work. A couple more things to say was, last Saturday I sowed my tomatoes, which was pretty damn exciting. Nothing's come up yet, no action, but yeah, if you're interested in watching that, it was a bit of a Q&A as well, so we talked quite a lot about tomatoes, didn't we? And the other thing I wanted to say is that I am an ambassador. That sounds so weird to say, but I am an ambassador for a new campaign which is being launched. I think it launched this week, but it's kind of just at very early stages and it's building up. For Growth Collective UK, which is campaigning to have aminopyralid based weed killers banned in the UK, or at least to bring in much tighter regulation. And I know that this is a problem you saw me have right at the beginning of last year on my broad beans and a couple of other bits and pieces. I had aminopyralid contamination in some manure that I used on my beds, and it was a real problem. I mean, it just completely destroyed them, and I hadn't heard about it as an issue up until that point at all. I just hadn't, I'd never come into contact with it, so it kind of didn't register for me. But once obviously I'd found out that that's what had happened to my broad beans, I started looking into it, and it's a huge problem. It really is, and so many people have had aminopyralid damage on their allotments and gardens, because when they're doing the policy for it, it's been noted that it's not a major problem in domestic gardens, and that the essential sort of like the runoff from it isn't affecting people, and it's perfectly fine to use. And having experienced it myself last year, that's just not the case. And what we're trying to do with the Growth Collective is just collect stories. It's essentially anecdotal evidence from people who have actually had this problem. So if you have had any aminopyralid damage to your garden through horse manure or any other kind of manure that you've brought into your garden, or compost, or anything that you believe has had aminopyralid damage, what we really want you to do is to go onto the website, which I will put the links underneath. Unfortunately, I can't put a link above because I'm not the registered owner of the website, but I will put all of the information below. And if you believe you've had problems with aminopyralid, we would really, really love you to just put your story down. I'll put the link straight to where you can add your story to it. And that's all we're doing to begin with. We just want to collect the anecdotal evidence of gardeners across the UK and farmers and anybody else who's had a problem with this. So Growth Collective UK has a Facebook page, and it also has a Twitter account, and in the next week it's going to crop up as an Instagram account, which, you know, obviously I'm on Instagram, so I will do a lot of sharing on Instagram, and that's also going to kind of work as a bit of a photo collection system. So if you've had any damage and you took photographs of it, would really appreciate you tagging Growth Collective, and then they can hold on to those pictures and add them to their collection. I will let you know about the hashtags associated with that when I'm told them. But yeah, so that's quite exciting. So yeah, I'm an ambassador. Just going back to my actual point, is if you've had any aminopyralid damage, please click the link below. I've had a couple of people ask me what I mean by the link below. So clicking the link below doesn't work if you're watching this on a telly, unless you've got a really super fancy telly, which is way above and beyond mine, which is quite possible, to be honest, because mine is a bit archaic, but I don't know how it works on a telly. But in terms of looking at on the computer, where you've got my video at the top and it says the title of the video and the number of views, and then under that you've got thumbs up, thumbs down, share, download, save, all of that kind of stuff. If you click on the title of the video, what that does is bring up all of my notes for the video. So the first sentence is part of how the video is found by YouTube, so that's not really going to be that necessary to read, but all of the links and everything that oh, the sun's coming out. Oh, it's beautiful. All of the links and everything that I talk about in the video, I just link everything underneath, and I've got all the details of it under there. So that's where the link to the field beans is going to be, that's where all the links to the Growth Collective UK is going to be, and it also has links to my website and all of the other stuff which I've kind of mentioned in the video. So yeah, that's where we are. God, the sun is pouring through that window. I'm gonna have to take my coat off. Yeah, so this is where I'm going to be for the rest of the afternoon, guys. I am going to sit up here and edit the video, enjoy the sunshine, chat to the chickens, probably talk to the cat, although she hasn't arrived yet, have my cup of coffee, and just enjoy it. And I will see you next week. If you enjoyed the video, give me the thumbs up, because that means absolutely loads. And if you haven't already, think about hitting subscribe, and I will see you next Tuesday. See you later, chaps. That's annoying. Millie Wax, girly whirly woo. Hey, girly whirlies.